In the previous video, we talked about the situation where the market works efficiently when the characteristics of efficient property rights are satisfied, and so that supply equals demand and that maximizes welfare. In this video, we're going to talk about the situation where that does not happen when the characteristics of efficient property rights are not satisfied, and so the market economy does not lead to a socially optimal outcome. We'll start out with a situation just as we looked at before, where we've got a supply curve and demand curve. Our supply curve is reflected by the marginal cost. Our demand curve is reflected by the marginal willingness to pay. At the equilibrium QM and price PM, supply equals demand. At that price and quantity, we get consumer surplus, which are the net benefits that accrue to the consumers of the good. We've got producer surplus, which are the net benefits that fall to the producers of the good, and together those are maximizing the benefits to society. What's important to recognize here is that these are all of the benefits to the society. We have captured everything that society gets out of the production of this good, and that is maximized at the market equilibrium. Now we're going to consider a situation where the market does not capture all of the benefits and costs. And so consider this picture where we've got pollution that's coming out of this factory. That's going to have consequences for people that live downwind of that. It might lead to increased incidence of asthma. It might lead to disamenities associated with the quality of the air in terms of smell or visibility. A whole range of factors might be affecting people that live downwind of this plant, and those are costs. Those are things that people care about, and they're not captured in the market. The producers don't have to pay those costs, and the consumers don't have to pay those costs when they buy the good. So they become external to the economy, and that's why we call that an externality. So what is an externality? Well, it's very simply when the benefits or costs associated with the ownership and use of an asset do not accrue only to the owners of that asset. In short, it's when exclusivity fails. So an externality is any case when exclusivity is not satisfied. So let's go back to our simple supply and demand curve, and we're going to add in an external cost. So you see this red line here captures our marginal external cost. So every unit of the production of this good leads to, let's say, a little bit of external damages that affect people that are neither the producers nor the consumers of this good. So it might be every car that you produce produces pollution that leads to external costs of $25, let's say, on the people that breathe the air in the vicinity of the plant. So as a result, our market equilibrium quantity QM leads to external costs, which is this red area here, and that you can think about that as the external costs associated with the first car and the second car and the third car. We add all those up and we get that red area. So we have to subtract that cost from the consumer surplus and the producer surplus that the economy is going to generate through the market exchange, and we're left not with that big triangle of producer surplus plus consumer surplus, but with a smaller green triangle here that is the producer surplus plus the consumer surplus minus those external costs. Now the important thing to note here is that little red triangle to the right. That's what we call the external cost. What is that? So that means if we look at every point past QS here, the total costs, including external costs and the cost to the firm, are greater than the total benefits to the consumers of that good. So every unit that we produce beyond QS leads to costs that are greater than the benefits. Together, that triangle, we call that a welfare cost, all right? Because it means that we've, by pursuing the market equilibrium, by the market by itself does not lead to the maximum quantity of welfare to society. And that's the problem with externalities. A great deal of what we think about in terms of environmental policy is thinking, how do we move from QM back to QS, where we've got a more efficient social outcome. It's important to notice that we're not saying we have to move back to zero just because there's external costs, but rather that we want to move back to the point where the welfare to society is maximized. Now, just as we can have a external cost, we can also have an external benefit. So in this case, I've drawn the same basic supply and demand curve, and now I've considered the case where every unit actually provides some external benefits to society. So this might be that the production of this, let's assume that they're really nice cars, and so that the consumers of these cars not only benefit themselves, but they actually benefit the whole city around them, and the whole city benefits by having these cars driving around. Now, even though all the citizens in the town love to see these cars driving around, they're not paying for them, so those benefits are external to society. So now we have the market economy, again generating producer surplus plus consumer surplus, our basic welfare triangle there. But there's in addition to that, there's an external benefit that accrues outside of the marketplace, and that's the external benefits of the first car plus the second car plus the third car, and we add up all of those marginal external benefits, and we get that polygon there. Now you can see that in this case, what we have is a welfare cost associated with insufficient supply of the good. So our quantity supplied at QM, the market equilibrium, is not the quantity that maximizes the welfare to society. We've stopped short of where we could get it maximized. So we have that little red triangle. The welfare cost in this case is associated with net benefits to society that were not achieved because the market equilibrium didn't capture the benefits to society on top of the private benefits from those that are purchasing the good. So welfare costs can be arise either with a positive externality or a negative externality. The important thing to remember is that anytime there are external benefits or external costs that are not captured in the marketplace, that's going to lead to a welfare cost due to the fact that the market equilibrium is not going to be the socially optimum quantity.